Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we will explore the cause and effect of just saying yes in your everyday life or in business. I will dig into topics that are not just stimulating, but will challenge you to be better in everything you do. The podcast is based on the simplicity of saying yes to opportunities you might encounter every single day. I'm your host, Jim Riley. Join me in my first series titled Blue Collar Redefined. Hello and welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. My name is Jim Riley. I'm your host, and thank you for your subscriptions and listening. This will be our 8th episode, and we broke 1,000 downloads last week. So incredible amount of response to what we're doing here. Really appreciate that. We've been having a good time with it. It's been a neat, I don't want to say a hobby because it's part of what we do. It's what we enjoy doing and getting people on the show. And I have to tell you, and my guests that I've had on the show already, it really just invigorates me to walk away from the interviews that we've had and then re-listen to the interviews and take something away myself. So I'm learning as well as everybody else. I'm so proud and happy to be sharing these stories and getting them off to you so that maybe you can learn something and feel the same way like I did. Anyways, usually we cover a little bit about what's been happening in the last week, and we've been cranking away at Baja United. We opened up our crowdfund again at startengine.com. You can search Baja United Group. Really, a lot of that came from the demand from people that still wanted to get involved and invest a few bucks here and there. The minimum investment is $100. It's $5 a share, so you'd get 20 shares for your $100 and be a part of something special. Don't forget that our vision of the company is to donate back a percentage of those sales to the orphanages down in Baja. People that I've been working with for almost 20 years, and Corazon de Vida Foundation out of Irvine is a big part of what we do. So check it out. We'd love to have you. In regards to my Spartan training, we talked about a little bit here. I just began my quest. I took a couple weeks off from my last race in Big Bear. Remember, I got a 2nd place on Sunday and a 8th place on Saturday. So it was a good weekend of racing. But I took a couple weeks off and needed to refresh and get my mind ready for the next goal. And that is what they call an Ultra Beast in September. It's a 30-mile race with over 70 obstacles up in Lake Tahoe. So I am on my quest to get that done. So lots of training, early mornings, lots of miles. I did almost 30 miles last week. So we'll get it going. This week, I've got Todd Vande on the show. He is from Stark Gyms. He's the founder. You know, speaking of Spartan, I spend a lot of time in the gym and have learned a lot, not only in the last few years about being in gyms and working out and the power of going, exercising, nutrition, and all the things that go with that. And then just separately, not ever really connected to my gym experience, was doctor visits and trying to stay healthy. And I'm amazed what they're doing over at Stark. I wish they were closer. I would enjoy being a member there. I absolutely love my trainer. It's funny, everybody loves our trainer at Heart Fit here in Glendora. His name is Jordan. What's interesting is when he goes on vacation, we still all show up. We don't even have a trainer. He's one guy. Last time he took a vacation, he had his intern there, and I looked around the room like, wow, everybody's here. So pretty amazing work that Jordan's doing with us. But Stark, on the other hand, is a great mix of individuals. And I've had a chance, oddly enough, I've only met Todd on the show, but at the local, it's like a sushi fishbowl type place, I've met half of his staff going in there because it's a healthy alternative and they're nearby, and it's by my office in Costa Mesa. What a great group of people. I've met Brian Molina, who's like the head coach. Alice is their doctor over there. And then I seem to run into Tyler all the time. His title is VP of Morale. So, very interesting place. It's an incredible story. And you would be amazed that Todd started his career in the carpet business, of all things. So please enjoy the show. Find your takeaway. We'll recap. And here's Todd. All right, welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. We're in the Blue Sea headquarters. I've got Eric Morley in the building today listening in, and I've got a special guest, Todd Vande. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
I have heard so much about you and your gym, and I've just been a workout fanatic for the last 3 years, at a different level probably. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you today and hearing more about.
You're looking fit and healthy.
I'm Spartan fit right now.
Yeah.
So,
how old are you?
I just turned 50 in January.
Oh, me in April.
Yeah, see, we're in part of the
My
50
brother.
club.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it.
You know, I know people don't like to hear this, but it feels like the 50 is the new 40 or maybe even the new 30.
Yeah, I'd say more like the new 20.
Yeah, I
but
like
I'm a
that.
little bit cocky.
I like that. It's okay. That's where you should be. You know, my wife asked me on my 50th birthday, she said, how do you feel? You're 50 now. I said, I feel as good as I did when I was in my 20s, health-wise. There's nothing I don't feel I can't do.
Yeah, you know, I would say I feel better than in my 20s, but I didn't feel that well in my 20s. I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah. Do you think that's what it is, a sense of awareness of who
Yeah.
you are and what you're all about?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most beautiful things about getting older, right? You have this sense of awareness not only of your physical self and your mental health and your ideas and your mistakes and the humility that comes along with that and the wisdom that comes with that, but yeah, it's this sense of that everything's fleeting.
Yeah.
You know, and the appreciation for those things that are fleeting. I like being old.
I do too. And I like what you said about the humility, you know, because I think that's a really important thing that you learn as you get older, and you're okay with that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, big and small things. I mean, we talk about bathroom talk at my house now. That was never anything I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
Of all weird things.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love what you're doing at the gym. And, of course, Eric Morley has been a client, and he talks a lot about what you guys are doing. But I'm really interested in your backstory, and then I want to get into what you're doing with your facility. But can you tell us a little bit about how your life started and where this has progressed to?
My life started, you mean career-wise?
Well, let's just start with when you got out of school and where you went from there.
Okay. Well, you know, actually, we can probably go back a little bit further because, you know, I think it ties directly to the purpose of the show.
Yeah.
The concept of saying yes and being sort of like adventuresome and kind of courageous.
Mm-hmm.
It started really, I think, when I was a paperboy, which is obviously doesn't exist in this day and age.
I was going to say,
unfortunately.
right?
But I was simply presented by my brother and a friend of mine, you know, a route that was open and connected to the manager. His name, it'll pop into my head probably later. Mr. Bender.
Mr. Bender. Okay.
Mr. Bender reached out and I just said absolutely I'd love to do the job. I had really no idea what I was getting into, and there was this sort of family culture I think that we had in the Vande household to just kind of jump in and, you know, maybe even worry about the details later.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took over that paper route, and about a month later I had 3, and I fell in love with, I don't know, commerce, business.
Making money.
Yeah, relationships, the benefits of hard work, the fruits of that hard work. And that's carried really throughout my entire career. So upon graduation, got a degree in business, went into sales for a number of years, was in the Midwest, moved to Chicago, started my own manufacturer's rep agency within the carpet industry,
Mm-hmm.
actually. And like all other businesses or hard goods manufacturing industries, carpet in the boutique manufacturing space used independent reps to get their products distributed. And so I was one of those reps.
Okay.
And fell in love with the industry. I don't know. I mean, I actually loved carpet at that particular point.
I've never heard anybody say that.
I don't know. When I commit to something, I find all sorts of positive attributes of that thing. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's now it's health and fitness and medicine, and back then it was carpet. Found ways to fall in love with the products and the customers that I sold them to, and did that for 3 or 4 years and realized I wasn't going to get closer to my dream of owning my own business at some point, and started reaching out to some of the manufacturers I represented and told them, hey, I'm in my 20s. By the time I'm your age, I want to maybe be in manufacturing. How do I do that? And perhaps I can at some point buy into your business. And I went through a bunch of interviews with these manufacturing companies, and one in California named Fabrica made me an offer, and I came back to Chicago after going through that interview process, and I really wasn't that interested, frankly, in moving to California. Midwesterners look at California and Californians as like, I don't want to be like those weirdos. I don't want to live out there. I mean, the weather seems nice, but
it's different.
It's
Twilight Zone.
It's a very it's unique, particularly in contrast to the Midwest.
Yeah.
So I came home, just had gotten married, and my wife Becca started singing one of the Beach Boys songs, and she said, "Let's go to." I'm like, okay. So there was an early yes. Without much thought, we decided to pack up the stuff and move to California.
I like that feels more like a yes to your wife as opposed to the job, right? Which was probably a really good move.
Yeah. I think so. She's much more adventuresome than I am, I would say. So we moved to California and got closer to manufacturing. Spent a number of years with the company. The company was acquired by a public company shortly thereafter, which was disappointing to me because the purpose of me coming to California was to become an owner at some point.
Right.
Very, very naive. I mean, I was in my late 20s and thought that I was going to somehow own a piece of this private company that was 30 years old. And, I mean, in hindsight, I was like, wow, what an idiot. I was way too naive. So it was sold. My boss at the time offered to me to teach me how to do his job. He was the president of the company.
Okay. If
I was willing to stay. I was pretty upset because of the circumstances.
Sure.
And so I said, that sounds exciting. I'll do that. I know nothing about actually operations,
right.
Nothing about manufacturing, even less about finance. It's all sales and marketing. And he said that I need to learn two of those key functions in a business to run a business effectively, and I need to be obviously knowledgeable about the third. So we started. He started mentoring me around operations, and I spent a lot of time with our engineers and underneath these giant tufting manufacturing pieces of manufacturing equipment, learned the manufacturing process. And at some point down the road, he was fired, and I was promoted into his job. It's in a public company, as you can well imagine, it's a job where you're kind of in the crosshairs all the time.
Yeah.
And so it was a sad day for me to see him go. It was not as exciting as I thought it would be to be you're elected into a position like that.
Well, you saw the results of that position too. You ultimately got fired, and here you are, the next
scary.
guy.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary. Your name goes on those results. And so anyway, I ended up taking the job, and it was an exciting run. And eventually, I had a conflict with the board of directors. They fired me. I retired. Was in my mid-30s.
Let's just talk about that real quick. Yeah. You came out. You took this role on. You learned the responsibilities of the leadership role itself. Uh-huh. You talk about it being exciting. In that role, and obviously you learned some new aspects. So in that role, what were the exciting parts for you? What motivated you to get up every day and go do what you were doing?
Oh, that's a great question. The thing that's always excited me the most, actually, it did when I started exiting sales in my late 20s and getting into management and leadership. It was a painful transition in that you no longer have the sort of adrenaline rush of the pat on the back and the relationships you build with the customers. You become removed from that.
Yeah.
And I had to replace it with something, and so I replaced it by being dedicated to the relationship with the employee, which is completely different. But taking and finding satisfaction in taking a young gal or young guy from where they are and help them develop in their career to a point where they're doing things that they never thought they'd be able to do.
Sure.
That's what really got me going in the morning, every morning. I mean, and to this day, I'm still super enthusiastic. I think it's the most exciting and most rewarding part of business. Period.
How many employees did you have at the time? Do you remember?
400.
400. Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know all of them.
Of course.
I had a management team of 22 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And of the 22, I spent a lot of time with 5 or 6 of them.
You think you were able to convey your love for carpet to your